Alright, so we got this old axle unbolted. Now we got to get it out from under here. And like I said, it don't roll, so I'm hoping I can roll it over like this and roll it out from underneath it here. We've got it plenty high enough thanks to the peat, so let's see what we can do. Alright, so we rolled this thing out from underneath of there. So now we'll, like I said, got to pull the center pin out and get this shock mount off each side. And once we do that, then we can go ahead and drop these springs off of here. So we'll get on that. Alright, so we got the center pins out and got the shock mounts off. So this is the passenger side shock mount right here. And we're going to use this nylon spacer here too. And we're going to go over here. Alright, this is the driver's side. So we'll put this on here. Hang on. Alright, then we got the shock mount on. And the center pin bolted up. And I don't think I'm gonna tighten this up yet. Not tight. Just tight enough to hold it together. Because I think we're gonna clean this up and paint it before we do any final assembly, but we're just fitting up right now. So alright, so there it is, loosely tightened up. And so this pin in the bottom centers in the axle, and the pin in the top will center in our bag mount. And when we finally get our measurements and everything straight, we'll probably cut that off a little bit, but we'll see what we got here. Alright, so this is it mocked up, and we used that spring spacer that we took out that's simulating the bag mount, which it's thicker than the bag mount's gonna be. The bag mount's probably gonna be half that thickness, but it'll be a round mount. It'll come out about like yay big as the diameter of the bag, maybe a little bit bigger, and give a place for the bag to bolt to on the bottom. And then we'll use one of the 8 bag mounts off the back of the frame to mount the top of the bag to the frame. But that's the order of assembly. It's the spring, 2-degree shim, the spring, and then the shock mount. And we'll do the same thing on this side, and that way we can roll this thing up underneath the truck. Alright, here we are with everything bolted up. It's all, like I said, it's all loosely bolted up just for mock-up, but it shows you how I flip the shock brackets around. And like I said, the aluminum spacer is kind of simulating the bag mount, but it'll be about half as thick. So now we'll get the springs out from underneath the truck, and then we'll roll this thing under, and we can bolt the front end, but we can't bolt the rear end yet because we got to get spring mounts off first. Alright, so we got all the bolts out of this bracket except for this top one here. And then the way this works is this is a pinch bolt, and this pin has a slot that lines up with a pinch bolt that tightens it up. It's when it's horizontal, it goes through. And I forgot that I put this plate on here to mount the bumper on, and it was keeping these pinch bolts from coming out, so I had to loosen that plate up. Luckily I didn't have to set it back down, but you see this is how this pin is coming out. So we'll twist it on out and I'll show you. So you can see the slot where that pinch bolt goes through and locks in right there. Alright, so there it is with the pin out, and I just stuck it back in. See, the bushing on the pin, on the spring is threaded, and that pin threads in. That's how that whole deal works. So let me get this last bolt out up here, and we'll have this whole side done. Alright, so I got the passenger side off now. I mean the driver's side off now. Alright, so I went through and I marked the center line on that hole there. It might be a little off, but just to give us an idea. And that line right there in front of the cab mount is where this new mount goes. And this is what the new mount looks like. So it mounts higher on the frame and all the bolts go through. This design, they said, had a tendency to crack on this frame rail right here, which, I mean, you know, when you drill on that angle right there, it weakens that rail. But you can drill in the side of the frame and it doesn't weaken anything. So this mount will go back there on this line, and then the front will go in the same hole. And I got new pins for the spring on both ends and this part, so all the wear items, and then I got new shackles too. So everything that could, what's up, Buffy? Buffy fussing at me. So everything that could wear is being replaced. So we still need to get a I guess that's called a drag link. So we still need to get a drag link, because I'm sure this has 2 wear points on it. So, but let's see if we can get this thing rolled up under here, and we'll see how that works out. Alright, wouldn't you know it, this thing's fighting me going up underneath of here. It's wanting to lay over. Steering the right way, but it's handling this thing by myself is a bit of a chore. So I might have to call for reinforcements. But we're getting there. Like I said, we know what pretty much where everything's gonna fall out at, and just get it centered up under here. And like I said before, I'll say it again, we'll take one of these bag mounts, probably that one right there because it's easy to get to. We'll take that bag mount off. Once we get the axle centered up under here, we'll figure out where it needs to sit, and then we can go about designing the bag mount for the lower. That's gonna go where this Z-shaped spacer is. So it's looking real good. I mean, we're real close. I just need a little hand to push this under here, and then a bunch of measurements and drill some holes and get on with it. So it's not far from being up under there, and even not quite as far to get it bolted up in there. So we're making progress, and I'm pleased with the progress. And then once we get that set up, then we'll come back here and work on the rear. And basically it's cutting, what I say, 14 hooks and removing a whole bunch of bolts. And we'll strip the back of the frame down, and we're going to take the Freightliner frame rails, and we'll set them on top of these frame rails and probably clamp them in place with some vice grips or something. And then we'll draw a bunch of straight lines and measuring and marking holes, and then it's just a matter of punching out a bunch of holes and then bolting everything up, and then we'll figure out what we got to have and what we don't need, and then we'll eliminate the holes that we don't need. We'll just weld them up. So that's what we got. Y'all stay tuned and I'll show you more as I go.